I kept it. I looked at the videos.
When we're going to be talking about axis of symmetry, because we're going to start graphing quadratic functions today. So an axis of symmetry is the x-coordinate of the vertex. When you have it in standard form, you actually use a formula for it. So we're going to work on how to use this formula of negative b over 2a. Vertex. What is the vertex? It's actually the middle coordinate. It's the very bottom here or the very top. We call them a max and a min when we graph the parabola. Quadratic functions are graphed as parabolas, kind of like linear functions are graphed as lines. And if you notice, I circled in blue because the definition of axis of symmetry is the x of the vertex. That is the axis of symmetry. And it is the formula negative b over 2a. So standard form by definition. Let's go over what the word standard form means. It means ax squared plus bx plus c. When you see an equation that looks like this, that's a, that's b, and that's c, only when it's in this form. So a is going to be 1, b is going to be negative 2, c is going to be negative 3. The axis of symmetry ends up being negative b over 2a, which is the formula we gave. So if I ask you for this equation, find the axis of symmetry, you need to do negative b, so negative negative 2, because that's a negative 2, over 2 times a. Well, a is 1, so 2 times 1. If you got this far, I'd be very happy. But are you finished? No, because you have to do negative negative is a positive 2. 2 over 2 divided by 2 is a 1. So let's move on to the next one and try it again. We'll just replicate this for all of these examples. So for the next one, if I ask you to tell me what is a, b, and c, a is negative 1, b is negative 6, c is negative 10. And then when you go to plug it into the formula, negative b over 2a, you use this guy, so negative negative 2 over 2 times negative 1. So this becomes a positive 6 over negative 2, which equals a negative 3. So that is your axis of symmetry for equation 6. Let's go through it. If I ask you to do the axis of symmetry for any equation, you now have the ability to do it. So let me put up the double screen on, and you will be able to see here are the equations here. I put another equation up. We're going to widen it. The equation here for 1 is x is 1, a is 1, b is 16, c is 64. Using those numbers, you would get negative b, negative 16, over 2 times a, 2 is 1. So that'd be negative 8. We'd write negative 8 here. Next one on the homework, number 3. That's a 6, that's an 18, so negative 18, but you have to multiply by a negative 1 because the a is a negative 1. So if a is a negative 1 and b is a 16, you end up getting negative 18 over negative 2 equals 9. So 9 would go here. So I've had a lot of people ask me, what's the max and the min? Is a, in this case, a is 1. If it's positive, it's a minimum. If a is negative, it's a maximum. Now let's apply that to the actual pictures. Parabola opens up. What is the vertex? It's the very bottom. So even though the a is positive, it's a minimum vertex. Same thing with this one. It opens down because the a is negative. Very similar to what? That's right, end behavior. The front term does still determine whether the arrows end down, but the vertex is now the maximum spot. And then the last thing we went over is what do you do when you need to find the vertex? So if we look over on this screen over here, the vertex is when you take this axis of symmetry and do the plug in. So the equation is x squared plus 16x plus 64, but you plug in negative 8 x's, and you end up getting negative 8 to the second power is 64. 16 times x, but it's now negative 8 is minus 128 plus 64 is 0. So the final thing you're going to write here is negative 8, comma 0. And that is how you do your homework.